Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Talk About It. I'm super excited about this next guest. What can I say? We have somebody. It's somebody I've been a fan of for a very long time. Just a beast in the flyweight, a beast, and where she's at right now. She comes from a great background, first generation Mexican, representing us all Latinos out there just amazingly. Has an incredible story. Starts this journey at 23 years old, where you're like, she might be a little bit older, but nah, she demonstrated she's really good. And right now, she's actually the fifth ranked of the whole world. So without further ado, we have Miss Cynthia Calvillo in the building.
Hey, what's up, guys? Super excited to be on. Thanks for having me on and inviting me.
Thanks, Cynthia. All right. So first of all, how are you doing? How's everything going right now?
I'm doing good. I'm actually just about set to get into a fight camp. I just got
Nice.
cleared with my training. I've had shoulder surgery back in December, so that's been, my main focus the last couple months. I'm excited to get clear to get back to work.
Okay. Yeah, it's always exciting to be able to get back there. And I know that there's also some rumors, some things that you put out there. Some people responded as well. So is this Jessica Andrade fight looking like it's gonna materialize?
Yeah, I mean, we're just waiting for the matchmakers. I know that they're on vacation this week, so we're waiting for them to get back into the office so that they can hopefully give us a date. But we both agreed. I've been seeing her here around in Las Vegas, which is where I live at now, and she's definitely someone I've had my eye on. Anybody who's around in the same top five, top 10 in my division, I'm like, all right, I'm scoping them out. You know what I mean? So I knew everybody else had fights lined up, and I was like, Jessica just got done with her fight. She just fought the champ, and
Yep.
she's the number one contender. Of course, I always want to fight the best. So
Yep.
I saw my opportunity, and I asked her, I was like, hey, let's take a picture. Let's take a face off in front of her coach. Her coach was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's send it to Mick. And I was like, sick. So I waited, like a day or two. I think it was the following day I posted, actually, but I was pretty much just asking her. I was like, hey, you want to fight in September?
Yeah.
October, and she responded the next day and she said, yeah, let's do it. So now we're just waiting for the matchmakers.
I love it.
So we're making the matchmakers job a lot easier.
You just became a matchmaker yourself, right? That's super
Yeah.
dope. If there's one thing that, as a fan of the sport, I really respect, because I've been following your career for a while now, is just the fact that you're willing to get in there with the toughest opponents ever. You're not looking for any easy fights. You're like, no. I want the best. I want to, I want to fight. I want to put myself out there. Even talking about that fight with Valentina at one point, like that's
Yeah.
a dream fight for you. That's something to
Yeah.
respect. So thank you as a fan for just always, putting yourself out there for those big fights.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, honestly, like I didn't start training because I wanted to make money or I wanted to become popular. I wanted attention. That's not what I'm doing it for. I
Yeah.
just, really found something that's my passion, and God gave me this gift to be able to do this. Everything that I've been through in my life kind of made sense the day that I found MMA, and the day that I got to train, and I was like, shoot, this is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
And like I didn't want to start doing it just to say, oh, I'm an MMA fighter or whatever. Sounds cool. I generally am super competitive. I am super disciplined, and like I'm 100% serious about my training and becoming a martial artist. And like, the way we're culturally, like, Mexicans, we don't back down from anyone. And if we want to be the
Nothing at
best,
all.
we're going to try to take out the top dog. So like for me, it's always been like that kind of notoriety of like
Yeah.
being able to beat the best in the world, not just to say I'm a professional fighter, but that I am one of the best in the world. And so for me, it's like, I don't want to build my fights or my legacy or my record on like fighters that suck,
Yeah.
because when the day comes and I got to really fight the top dogs, I'm like, dude, like I built this whole record on shit. Like I'm fighting these girls and I just kind of made it there. But no, I need to know, and that's how I get my confidence too, is that I face the toughest girls that there are out there, and that I belong, up there, and hopefully one day get my shot and become the first Mexican American female champion in the UFC. That's the main goal.
Oh man, trust me, I'm gonna be waving that flag like it's nobody others.
Oh, I
That's
appreciate that.
that's amazing. That's amazing. And it's something to respect, because I think the fighting world has definitely changed over the last couple of years. In so many different aspects, so many people are going different avenues and so forth, and to just see a fighter who's definitely just 100% into the fight game, into the I want my respect, I want to fight the people at top. It's something to admire, it's something to respect, and it's something of a kind of like a dying breed, so hats off to you for that, right?
No, I appreciate that. I've talked about it often before. Is just like when I first started MMA. I mean, there's no women in the UFC yet.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do it kind of for myself to pick myself up and just feel better about myself. And like there is nothing like social media was just started getting and going. All the stuff that comes with it. You got to be a model. You got to be an influencer. Do all this shit. And I was like, that's not what I signed up for. But I feel like that's like a part of it. That's almost like a must. Like what everybody makes it seem out to be. But I kind of just want to do it. Like my focus is to be a fighter, and so hopefully I don't let any of those distractions get to me. So far, I've been pretty good about it. Like I'm not that they're like feeding this whole social media monster where I don't want to give people on like false hopes of like what they need to do to become successful. It takes a lot of hard work and discipline and determination and focus, and that's what I want to show. I want to show some purity of like real hard work, just how our parents and our ancestors, just like we got we are who we are because of our hard work.
100%.
And so I wanna show you that. I don't wanna be like, oh, I got on top because I posted this or I did this or I did that. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna put some respect on my name.
I love it. I think it's there. But it brings back something. You kind of said it yourself. You're a first generation Mexican as well, coming from the east side, San Jose. Your parents kind of. Obviously, I know the same thing. My parents came here with a kind of a dream to kind of give us a better life, right? And their big focus as soon as they got here was, let's work so that we can buy or rent a 1-bedroom apartment, right, for all 6 of us. and so our parents were really, really around, growing up, at least myself. I know my parents were kind of always working. How was it growing up, in San Jose? Was it kind of the similar thing for you?
Yeah, for sure. I grew up in East Side San Jose, which is pretty much like the little Mexico of, San Jose. And like for real, it's probably like, I don't know, 70% Mexican, I would say there, and, a lot of people were first generation, a lot of the kids growing up, and all their parents were always at work, where my parents grew up in Tepic, Nayarit, they grew up in a rancho in Las Sierras, and like, they didn't really have the opportunity to dream. They didn't have the option to dream and to become something that they wanted, that they might have wanted to do. They had to survive, you know what I mean? They're born and they're like, all right, we got to get to work. How are we going to eat today? How are we going to, just survive? And that was the mentality. And so when they came here, they didn't know anything about like, putting their kids in like good programs and putting them in sports and like make sure they go to college. Like if anything, they were learning the American life just as we were,
100%.
And they were just, all they wanted was to go to school. And it was like no extracurricular activities. They didn't have time for that. They had to work all the time. And when they got home, my mom's like, all right, now it's not only did she work, but she had to come home and cook for my dad every day. And it had to be at a set time, and she had to have the house clean. And, and so it was, definitely a difficult upbringing. But at the same time, I feel like it taught us a lot of character and a lot of the, we got to just keep fighting. The work ethic that my parents instilled in me is just like second to none. Like nothing was given to them, and everything they worked for was so hard. And so it's like, I remember just growing up in California and just kind of seeing other people's like lives, them having their family, their parents kind of set them up of like what they should do after high school, go to college, put them in sports and do all this stuff. And I used to be envious of that.
Yeah.
Like, how come I don't get to do that stuff? Like, my parents don't care about me, but that's not true.
They were just trying to survive. True. Yeah.
They were just trying to survive. They didn't know. They were just as clueless as we were, 100%. You know what I mean? But you almost kind of grow up with a little bit of a resentment in that sense of like, why don't I have the same things as everybody else does? You know what I mean? And I remember just always kind of feeling that way, But then as I grew up and, I realized going through my own things, how hard it is to make it here and the sacrifices that they made. So it's like, I've always had like this immense like love for my parents for being able to give me the opportunity to have a dream, something that they didn't have. And so they didn't understand it right there and then when I first started fighting and training. They were just like, dude, está loca, you know what I mean? It's a phase, whatever,
¿Cómo
you
que vas a
know.
pelear? Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, she's going through some shit right now, you know, let her go to the gym. That's the best thing that she could do
Yeah.
instead of go to the club or go party or something, you know. Became completely obsessed with this and becoming a fighter. And, you know, I just kept fighting for it. Eventually, my parents, you know, they thought I was even more crazier when I told them I was going to quit my full-time job to move to Sacramento so I can go train with one of the best teams in MMA at that time, which was Team Alpha Male.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they basically still thought I was crazy because the first 3 years I like got injured, and I was just kind of, I wouldn't ask them for help, but I was struggling, but I just knew that I had a different opportunity to them. It was kind of like I told myself, like, you know, either you're going to go out there and you're going to make it or you're just going to lose out on it.
Yeah.
But the simple fact that I had the opportunity to go fail at something so great because of my parents, like,
Yeah.
I was like, man, I can't let this go to waste. Like, I just know that there's something here, you know? And so I just kept telling my parents, you know, don't worry, it's going to work out. It's going to work out. And, you know, eventually I got through some things and I fought through it. And, you know, I don't know, maybe it was my third fight as a professional.
Mm-hmm.
I was maybe 5 months in being a professional, and I got the call from the UFC. Like, they send me a direct message on Instagram, and I was like, dude, this is fake. This is not real.
Sean Shelby,
I don't know.
right?
I felt like I needed to fight a couple more times, you know. And at that, I was only like a professional for like not even 6 months yet, and I was like, holy shit, this is unreal. And then I just went out there and it all played off. Everything that I had fought through, everything that I kept telling my parents, like, don't worry, I promise. Like, I don't know what it is, but I know this in my heart that this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it has a lot to do with who they are and how they raised us.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't gonna give up on something, and I just really truly believe that. Like, at the end of the day, I knew that if I failed, my parents were gonna be there for me. They were gonna be there for me, how they've always been there for me. And the fact that they gave me that opportunity, like, you know, I just had to, and so far it's been working out. You know, I've had an incredible journey so far in the UFC, a lot of ups and downs, but for the most part, I feel like I feel so grateful and so blessed to be able to accomplish something like this, you know, coming from where I started at, what my parents came from. And so it's been nuts, and it's honestly like, it's humbling, and like, I'm so excited to be able to represent, and like, I'm not gonna let this opportunity go to shit. And like, I'm excited to make a name for my family here in America.
It's amazing. I mean, your story is incredible, and I mean, just the way that you speak around it, right? Because we, you know, anybody who comes from a Mexican background, who's first generation, knows what that feels like, right? I remember being a kid and you know, like you said, kind of trying to figure out what America living is like, where my parents are trying to figure out. I remember getting the PlayStation 1 when the PlayStation 3 came out, you know, like shit like that. But that was what my parents could do for us at that moment. And you kind of grow up with the kind of a chip on your shoulder, or kind of like, I want to be the person that takes us out of here, right? And if anything, our parents really do give us that. It's, you know, never quit. Always go forward, and you know, if I can say anything, you put your family name up pretty high, and this is just the start. I mean, you know, you're fairly young still into the UFC. I know you said that you will still want another, you know, 7 years within there, and there's a lot of things that can happen in 7 years, and I can't wait for that first Mexican American to hold that belt, and I feel like it's gonna be you, Cynthia. I really feel like it's gonna be you.
I feel like with the type of determination and commitment that I have to this dream is like second to none.
Yeah.
I've really like completely engulfed in this journey, and like it's sometimes along the way, obviously it's going to be a rocky journey, and whatever greatness that you try to reach, you're going to go through bad times, you know.
100%.
And those are the days that test you, and that, like, you know, but I made a commitment to myself that no matter what, I'm gonna keep trying to be the best I could be, you know. And it is a little bit harder now, because like before then, you have people that don't even care about your dream, and they probably looked at you like you're dumb when you do tell them.
100%.
You know what I mean? And that's nobody even cares.
Yeah.
But now I reach a level where not only do you fail in front of the whole world, but they directly tell you, like, those doubts that you normally have in your head. Now you got real people
Telling you that
telling you,
thing
oh,
as well.
you ain't gonna make it. You don't even have a chance. You know what I mean? And it's like it gets a little bit harder, but it makes it so much sweeter when you do make it. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
keeps you fighting.
100%.
You know, and you shut all those people up, and I feel like I've done it before, and I know what comes from working so hard and being so relentless and being so committed to to a certain goal, like, can do for you. And like there's times where, especially if I'm injured, I'm having a bad day, or I feel lonely. I feel it sucks. It
Yeah.
sucks really hard because you got to sacrifice a normal life. I could be complacent and maybe not go for something so great, and maybe just go get a regular job that's a little bit more secure, and I can work on having a family and kind of settling to what we think it should be,
Yep.
or you can just go all the way in, and just feel grateful that I was given this opportunity. So I'm all in. I'm all in that I get to be given this. I'm like, it's incredible to me, and like my parents are getting older, and there's so much more I want to accomplish, but hopefully before they go, I can bring home, a belt, and be a world champion, and just really show them that everything that they worked hard for, like, it didn't go to waste. And they did such an amazing job raising, all of, like, me and I'm the youngest of four. I have two older brothers and an older sister, and
Okay.
they've all been doing pretty good. So I'm happy that my parents can kind of see that before, they leave this planet. Like, they did an amazing job, and all their sacrifices did not go to waste.
I love it. I love it. Another thing that I wanted to touch bases on, right? Because you've mentioned this before, and obviously, like you said, kind of growing up, there wasn't a clear pathway of like, what do I want to do in life? And, you're a big representation of, you started this journey at 23 years old. It wasn't like you were 6 years old already, training wrestling and so forth. You were 23 when you started this journey. How did that come about, and how has your mentality been of like, I'm gonna make it, regardless of what people think?
Well, growing up, like, our culture, especially, we're used to just how, like, relationships and people getting, together when they're young, and also just
Yeah,
like the whole machismo thing. It's a big thing, and it's still part of our culture.
100%.
And even being here first or second generation, it's still part of us. And when I was in high school, I got a boyfriend. A lot of us do,
High school
and
sweethearts.
yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes we don't make the smartest decisions. It's all
definitely
this
not.
puppy love and
Yeah.
stuff. And so I kind of got in a situation where I was like with the guy that he probably wasn't the best guy for me. And I think that, like, I had made, outcries about it, where I've been, like, confiding on my friends, and then to the point where it would come out where he'd be like physically and mentally abusive and stuff like that towards me. And it would happen in high school. I would try to bring it up with my parents and stuff like that at some point, and
Our culture is different though. It's kind of like, this is just how we
it's
are. Yeah.
accepted. It's normal.
Yeah.
You deal with it and you move on, and it's kind of the same situation that happened with me.
Hmm.
There was an outcry for it, but I didn't really get. Nobody helped me. Like, they
Yeah.
just kind of made me feel like I was being dramatic about it,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh, you're the youngest, blah blah blah,
Así son las
whatever. You're just.
cosas, vas a aprender. Yeah.
So I was like, I guess this is the way it is. Here I am, 15, 16 years old, and I was like, I guess that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And then decided to stay with this guy. He joined the military. So once he joined the military, he was in
Makes
the
it
Marine
even
Corps.
worse.
Then you're in the government.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't even matter what you really want. All of a sudden, you're government property, and wherever they want to send them, you go. And then you're like, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. La mujer, they follow.
Yeah.
They follow whatever the man does. And so I decided to continue on, and this person was not the best person, for me. He was so abusive, verbally and mentally, not to the point where he can completely beat me up, because I would always defend myself,
Mm.
but in a sense of like I still couldn't get away from it.
Yeah.
Like, he was very threatening. He would always like say, "Oh, I'm gonna go do something to myself," or he'd always threaten that he was gonna do something bad, and so then I would just stay with it.
Of
I would
course.
just stay with it, and he was really good at like hiding with my parents too. I would act like like an angel, you know, and
Like
like
todo bien.
he was just nice. Yeah, you know, so it was really hard for me. I was almost kind of borderline going crazy. I'm like, dude, is this the way that it's supposed to be? And I just knew it wasn't right. Like this is not okay. And then, you know, I've also seen my mom deal with my dad. I love my father. He's a way different person now than he was back then. But
Hmm.
that's the way it was with my parents too, you know, and
Yeah.
it was always like seeing that, and we just kind of dealt with it, you know, as much as we'd be like, oh yeah, you should get divorced. That's not an option. Getting divorced is not an option. Breaking up is not an option.
Nope.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You just deal with it. And so that's what I thought too. And so this person's just kind of treating me like shit. I left myself, you know, I just kind of let my dreams and hopes like kind of on the back burner.
Yeah.
Everything was about him. Like wherever he went, I had to go. I was basically just settling with being a housewife, and
Yeah.
how it culture is. I'm gonna stay home, I'm cook and clean, and that's all I ever knew. That's what I saw, and that's how it's gonna be, you
That's
know.
crazy.
But I always just had something inside. I was just like, this is not right.
Yeah.
Like this is not, you know. And you know, for whatever reasons, our relationship didn't work. Thank God it didn't work, because I probably would have still been there with that man. And for whatever reason, was out of it. And I was 23 years old, and I was in a place where I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I kind of felt like, I don't know. It was hard. It was hard to like figure out what I'm going to do next. I didn't know how I was going to settle. All I knew is that I wanted to get my worth back,
Yeah.
and feel like I can protect myself, because nobody could protect me back then. No matter how much I helped, they kind of just let it be. And I was
Yeah.
like, nobody was going to save me, you know? And so there was a gym a block away from my job, and I was like completely like broken. And I was like, I just need to go in here and just do something and feel better about myself. And I had never felt so alive. It was just like the weirdest thing. Like all of a sudden, all the heartbreak and everything I'd been through, I was able to implement it into something.
Wow.
And it all made sense. It's almost like all the heartbreak that I had been through kind of set me up for that.
Yeah.
And that was the day that, like, when I went through that, when I felt like so hopeless and worthless, that I vowed to myself and I made a commitment myself that I was never going to allow that to happen to me again, that I was never going to allow other people to control what my life was going to be like, because everybody else accepted it. That's when I decided, like, to become my own hero, my own story. Like,
Yeah.
and I just fought and I fought, and like, I, I couldn't have asked for anything, for a better opportunity. And like, more so a lot for my mom. Like my mom, like, she's been through some really tough things in her life, and she's had to be a strong woman when, she was broken, and she did such a good job trying to hide it from us. But
Hmm.
we all knew what she was going through, and for her to, like, every day, I mean, that lady never took a day off of work unless it was for her kids. Like, it didn't matter, and so she's one of my biggest, like, inspirations. And like, to show, I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm living everything great that she could have done.
Yeah.
Because I literally, like, I wish if I could be half the woman that my mom is, like, I'd be like, I'm good, I'm good. Yeah, so that's what it was. It's just like a lot. And I feel like a lot of us women that grew up in that culture, especially first generation, we all grew up the same way. Like, I always
100%.
joke about it all the time, but I probably could have been some lady with like 3 kids, no baby daddy, just working at some random ass job, maybe, collecting like, getting Section 8,
Yeah.
getting some government help, usually with things that they make available to us to keep us down, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Some things are to help us, and some things are to enable us and keep us there.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, and that could have very easily been the situation for me, because lucky for me, I was able to get out of Eastside San Jose, and I can't say that much, for other people. There's a lot of people that are still there, probably haven't reached their fullest potential, because of that. And so I'm happy that I was able to do that.
Yeah, I'm blown away by your story, because it's an amazing story that hits home, because we growing up, it was the exact same thing in my kind of family, that machismo lives in our culture, right? It's unfortunate. And my mom to me is my greatest goddamn inspiration. That woman put up so much things, and like you said, they try to hide it, but they deal with it, and it's amazing. It's just amazing to hear how you were in a similar situation, kind of being just another person, another maybe statistic, another one of our culture. And you said, fuck that, you right? And you went for a dream. You found something that you loved. And even through adversity, even to breaking your arms 3 times, even through, leaving your home to go train with Team Alpha Male, you arrive. You made it. You go into the UFC, you sign first fight in 2-week notice, and you win rear naked choke, and then you fight a month later and it's another win, right? It's an amazing story. And I'm just thank you so much for sharing it with us. Thank you so much for sharing it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, of course, and these are things, the strengths that I've seen, all of us growing up and our parents, that when I'm in there, especially this being more like a male dominant sport,
Yeah.
it's not easy being a woman in MMA. I'll tell you, you got to earn your respect. You got to earn your respect. Either you can show your ass and tits and become popular, or you can go be one of the baddest women and just there's nothing wrong with doing both, but it's not very common that you get both.
100%. Yeah.
So I want my respect to come from man, that chick, she's one of the baddest women on the planet, and so that's what I strive to be all the time. It's when I go on the mats and I train, I go in there and I earn respect, and that's what I want. I want to be respected for my work ethic and for my craft, and for being a true martial artist. We've always been fighters, in and out. My family's always, taught me that, no matter what, whether it be figuratively or literally,
yeah,
we never back down, and we got to keep fighting no matter what. And it's so fucking easy, to fall into alcoholism, maybe addiction or something,
Yeah.
It's very easy to do those kind of things because it's available to you.
100%.
And to fight all that, continue on, it's just motivating. I still have yet, I've this much that I've accomplished and what I want to accomplish so far. And, someday this story and this journey is going to mean so much more. I talk about, my upbringing, but I don't really just throw it into people's faces, unless I'm asked for it. But because I want to make it, I have so much more to do. I have so many people to inspire, and so many naysayers, so many people who don't believe in me, that don't give me a shot.
Yeah.
But it's not it's not their job to believe in me. It's my job to believe in myself. You know what I mean? And there's shit. If I would have listened to half the people that told me I should not be doing this, man, I don't know what I'd be doing. Honestly, honestly, I don't even think half the people would be able to have the balls to fight through the things that I've been through. To be honest, I don't take no for an answer when I want, when I want to create something for fighting. I go out there and I get it myself. I'm not expecting it to fall in my lap. I'm gonna go out there and break the barriers and fight through every no that they give me, because I know I can do it. I've done it before. I've competed against the best people in the world that have been doing this for years and years. I have way more experience. But that's because all the heart that's right here is what got me through that. You know what I mean? And
I love it.
And so it's really cool to just kind of see that and to prove to the world, man, what we can accomplish is freaking amazing.
I love it. I love it. You just pump me up. I want to go out there and fight, and I don't even fight. I'm not even that type of dude, but I'm ready to throw down right now. I love it. Again, thank you so much for sharing your story, because it's great. Before we go, there's a couple of things that I want to kind of break down with you. Obviously, the UFC just puts on some amazing cards throughout the entire year, right? And so there's a couple of fights, kind of more main events, but some of the bigger ones that I kind of want to touch your base, kind of see where you think it's going to go. So we're going to start off with a championship fight between Israel Adesanya versus Michael Vettori. How do you see that one going?
Man, that's going to be a tough one. I like both guys. I'm actually really good friends with Marvin Vettori, the Italian Dream. That guy is obsessed. Those guys are dangerous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He I don't know what comes over that. He's a really cool guy, but he's completely obsessed with his goal and what he's trying to do. And not saying Izzy isn't, but that's gonna be a really tough fight, regardless of a lot of people think. Obviously, they've seen him fight before, but I'm gonna have to go with my boy Marvin Vettori, which is a lot of people won't follow me in those footsteps. They'll probably go with Izzy, and I understand that Izzy's an amazing athlete and stuff like that. But every person's times come, and sometimes even no matter how great their talent, heart can always sometimes beat that. You know what I mean? And I
100%.
truly believe Marvin is like one of those guys where he's gonna die trying.
I
And
love it.
after him having his fight in the last one, which was like super close,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna go with my boy Marvin. I think he's gonna pull through and get the job done, and he's gonna surprise people.
I like it. I like it. I'm always rooting for the underdog, man. Vittori's he's a monster in there, and he definitely well deserved. I know a lot of people were talking about Robert Whitaker and the whole thing, but Vittori's a beast, and I'm with it.
Yeah.
All right, then we got Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. What do you got on this one?
Dude, man, that's another tough one too. Both of these guys are like friends of mine. Like I've trained with Daiko,
Yeah,
and I've trained with the
assassin baby.
assassin, Brandon. Brandon's living here in Vegas, and he occasionally goes to Tijuana to go through his training. But he's living here now.
Nice.
And Daiko's in Brazil, but he used to cross train at Team Alpha Male,
Okay.
and so that's where I see him at. But dude, I'm on the bench with that one. I definitely want to go with my boy Brandon, because you want to go, bring the belt to Mexico,
Yeah.
and you always want fellow Mexicans to. Let me turn off my phone.
Okay.
My fellow Mexicans to get that belt, but I'm gonna go with my boy Brandon.
I like it.
I was gonna go down the fence, but I'm gonna go with my boy Brandon for that one. I want him to win that fight. I think he deserves it. He's been through a lot of shit, and he's fought through so much to get to the UFC, get cut from the UFC, and get back to the UFC,
Yep.
and for them to put his name right on their smack talk for title shots, that is some impressive shit. Because I'll tell you that the UFC was writing him off; they weren't gonna give him no shot. But after they seen how hard he got to where he was at, they're all on his nuts now. So
I fucking love it. I love it. See, I live in San Diego, right? Tijuana is like 15 minutes away from here, so he's hometown. Obviously Mexican. You got to root for him. And like you said, I follow him very closely. He gets fucking cut. He goes on to a different promotion. First fights for the title, wins it, gets re-signed for the UFC. Kind of write him off. And then that first fight against Davison Figueiredo, I remember DC and Joe going like, this dude can take a fucking shot, and it's like this is all he needed was somebody to put him on the spotlight. And so running it back, I think it's gonna be a great fight.
Dude, the crazy part about it too is both of those guys fought on 2-3 weeks notice.
Yeah.
We had both fought in November on the same card I did, and then boom, they're like, hey, you guys want to fight? In 3 weeks, and they just go, and they had a war, and it's insane. So I'm really excited what a full camp's gonna do. Yep.
I love it. The next one is gonna be a pretty anticipated fight. It's the return of Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards.
Man, I gotta go with my boy Nate Diaz. Like that's always just gonna be a given. Like I don't know, they just have this attitude, and I kind of feel for them, and I understand like why they are because it's like they too grew up with a chip on their shoulder, grew up in Stockton, and so I very familiar to the way they think and their train of thought, and I know that shortly after me getting to the UFC, I was given the girl Diaz name. I quoted them, and that was completely unplanned. It just came out. You know what I mean? And so, every time I see Nate, he always gives me a lot of love, and he always gives me advice, and he always tells me to get the mic and ask for whatever the fuck I want.
I love
it. So he's like, as soon as you get that belt, you ask for that title. So I was like, all right, let me say, Nate.
That's
so I appreciate that. So I'm always gonna be, on that dude's corner. So although Leon Edwards is another dude that doesn't get enough respect as he should. He's overseas. A lot of people, I feel like fans are the type that like once they put you on a certain way, whether they like you or don't like you, that's where they all sway. One goes, they all follow. That's the way it is. So I feel like that's the way it got with Leon Edwards. He was unfortunately at the end of that 3-piece in a soda of Masvidal. So
that kind of fucked it all up. Yeah, that kind of
and after that it was just everybody started hating Leon, because everybody was so in love with Masvidal, with Street Jesus. So I feel bad for him in that sense, but it's like that guy, he's really freaking good. Like he's really good, I don't know how this fight's gonna go for Nate Diaz, but no matter what, I'm still gonna go for my boy Diaz.
I love it. I love it. I think you broke it down perfectly because Leon Edwards is a likable dude, and then he got the 3-piece in a soda, and it kind of just went downhill from there with the fans. But the dude's a monster, so I'm excited as hell for that fight. Then obviously you have the trilogy fight, right? Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor. How do you see that one going?
God, it's so hard because of where both of these men are in their career as MMA fighters. They're both pretty much at the point where they're fighting is a priority, but not their main priority, in my opinion. They have all these other endeavors in life, a lot of things that they, with Poirier's charities, has his hot sauce, and like all these other things, that takes distraction and it takes time, for you. And like same thing with Conor. Conor's just
whiskey, and
that guy is like that guy made more money than most athletes, and he didn't even do shit. Like as far as fighting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like nothing that he did athletically is what made him that money. It was just what he's done, So it's just it's crazy. But now it's just about money, and it's different. It's like they're making money. I'm not sure how much he is for his legacy. I feel like every time he tries to sell us on that, like, oh, now he's coming back to the old school Conor. But I'm not sure if old school Conor can ever come back because
he doesn't have that chip on his shoulder anymore. He's not fighting. Anymore. Yeah, he's not fighting for.
Yeah, that guy's got a full belly. He's got everything that he needs. He's got nothing to fight for, So it's really tough because I would wish it would have been those guys from that first fight, that would have came and showed up all 3 times. But
it's a hard one.
It's a hard one. But I'm gonna go with Poirier again, getting that second fight and winning. I feel like if he doesn't, it's just weird. Conor was great, and he became a great athlete because of the obsession that he did have of not having what he wanted to get.
Yeah.
But if he's already got it, how can you have an obsession over something you already got? And it's just in our nature. The way that it is, we might want something, we might get it, whether it be a car or the house or something, but then you get over it once you already have it.
Yeah.
So it's really tough. It's really tough, if we can get Conor back to that mentality. So that for that reason, I'm gonna go with Dustin. I feel like mentally in a different place. Just slightly.
One of the fights that just got announced, and this fight I'm so excited about. Max Holloway versus Yair El Pantera Rodriguez. How do you see that one going?
Oh man, that is gonna be awesome, man. I'm really good friends with the Yair, and I know that he's been wanting to come back. He's been so inactive and just dealing with a lot of different things, and I expect this fight to be fireworks. And I think he understands how important this fight is for him.
100%.
Being that he was a man. He was a man 3 years ago. Just how I was the next superstar too.
Yeah.
We're both. I remember we're both all guest fighters. They're flying us different places. We're the next big things, and then boom, they just kind of write you off. But that's basically where Yair's at. Where Yair's like he was at the top, and now people are kind of like jumping off the train, because he hasn't been as active and showing as much as he should. And so I think Yair, we're probably gonna see the best Yair that we've seen to this date because he knows he's got something to prove. You know how us Mexicans are. We're gonna go out there and shut people up.
Yep.
That's what we try to do. And bless Holloway. He's another dude. Monster. He's one of the baddest dudes on the planet.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for that guy too. But I'm gonna go with my boy Yair.
I love it.
I have his back. And hopefully can come up and get back to top level and make his claim for getting a title shot as well, because I think he's one of the few ones too that he can definitely reach that level as well to be a champion.
I love it. Well, that's all for the UFC on there, right? Thank you so much for kind of giving your perspective. Last but not least, we just want to get some personal questions that people would send in. So number one, somebody actually wanted to know, what type of music do you listen to?
Dude, I listen to a little bit of everything. Yeah. So I love all my Spanish music, Bad Bunny or with Karol G, So I definitely listen to that music, but I also like, I I like listening to Sublime. I like my reggae
Okay.
and more chill. And now that I'm older too, because it's funny because I used to just like not listen as much Mexican music,
Yeah.
like I don't know what it was. Maybe it was cleaning every Saturday, it was just,
And
I don't
Vicente
know what it
Fernandez is
is.
in the background. Yeah.
No, yeah, you know what I mean? And so my parents just blasting it all the time. And we always wanted to, just kind of,
Be a
I
little
don't know,
bit
I feel like
different.
we wanted to go against it,
Yeah.
whatever our parents wanted us to do. But now I've been listening to it, I've been listening to all the old school jams now. And, really, so it just depends on what mood I am. I kind of listen to everything. I don't really listen to classical music.
Okay.
There's a few country songs I listen to, but it's a little bit of everything, when I'm like training and stuff, I like listen to all my Latin music, just kind of give you the
A little
cumbias or
flow.
the Selena, or if I'm trying to get gangster, we got to listen to Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, 2001.
I
You
love
know what
it.
I'm talking
The
about?
Chronicle. Yup.
All that. Yeah. So uh, just just a little bit of everything, but culturally wise, all my Spanish music that I gotta listen to,
Yep.
especially when I'm cleaning or I'm watching. When I want to be chill, hang out with my dogs, go out hiking, listen to some reggae, and yeah, I know I'm trying to be gangster right before I walk out. I have like I'm the fighter that always takes the speaker to all my fights because I need to be vibing. Like I'm literally having a party before I walk out. So
That's dope as hell. I love it. I love it. Yeah, that's how my Spotify. I can go from Vicente Fernandez straight to Tupac. Like they just be chilling next to
yeah,
each other,
yeah,
because that's just how we are. And trust me, there's nothing like when you get older as a Mexican, chill back, get drunk, and just sing some rancheras. Oh my God, your
yeah.
soul comes out. You know.
El orgullo, like everything before where you used to like not embrace as much. Now when you're older, it definitely changes.
A hundred
It's like,
percent. 100%. I love it. Favorite food?
oh man, my mom's food. Like I just love my mom's food. Her tamales, el pozole. But the best thing which is so simple that I love, is el caldo de pollo.
Okay.
Like I love. I'm done when I'm fighting, and I know that there's now at 25 that I can eat pretty good, but I'm still very like I try not to eat junk food because overall, like the inflammation and just
Yeah.
being able to perform, you got to eat really good quality food. So when I'm done, after a fight, I always eat pizza. I love
I
pizza.
fucking love pizza too.
I love pizza. I
Yes.
put jalapenos, pepperoni, pineapple, and we're good. I'm happy. Los dulces, like I eat candy, nothing else. Like I get the sweet tooth from my dad.
Okay.
We eat candy all the time, like all the Mexican candy, mazapanes. I like eating the gummy bears that have chamoy on it. Like
Yeah.
I love all that stuff. So
I don't know what it is.
and tacos
We'll talk about those as
are
well.
great.
Yeah.
Never.
It's funny that you say that you get a sweet tooth from your dad because my dad's the exact same way. Like this, I'd be walking in, it's like a whole piñata in my house. Like this fool's got gummy bears, he's got
Yeah.
mazapanes, bubu lubus. Like I'm just like, what's up with this?
Bro, he hides it. He's got a little cabinet where he hides his candy, so I always go in there and steal it. Where I know what's up.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Favorite place you traveled?
My favorite place that I've traveled, man, I've been to a lot of places, but I've been very lucky because of fighting.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed Argentina.
Okay.
So I got to fight over there, and they had one of the best steakhouses over there, and I love steak. Yep. And just the culture. I didn't really get to see as much, but I really enjoyed it. I like their coffee, their wine, their steak, and so it was cool. Definitely want to go back there. I would say though, by far my favorite place in the like whole world that I really love is Lake Tahoe.
Really?
I don't know why I really like that place. Yeah, Lake Tahoe is like probably one of the places where I feel like I'm gonna go back and live there someday. Maybe when I'm done fighting.
Okay.
There's something about the nature, the trees. I love the greenery. Like the lake is just so clean, and I'm very like I like the nature and being in the mountains. Maybe it has something to do with like where my parents being from like the sierra and like just being out there in nature. I love that. I love that stuff. Like I like being disconnected and just going out there with my dogs and is just really beautiful. Like it's just the water is super blue and it's like
It's
I don't know.
different.
I really like it a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really different. So it's definitely one of like by far probably the best like one of my favorite places, if not my favorite place in the entire world. It's not very far for me to travel to, but I found that gem here, which I'm really, really happy about that. But second, I would say Argentina. I really liked it a lot.
I love it. I love it. All right. Now we got to end up. Obviously, we're called Let's Taco About It. So we got to ask you about some taco questions, right? So, what is your all time favorite taco?
I mean, you gotta go traditional, like carne asada.
Okay.
Carnes de taco, carne asada, or my favorite, I'll say el pastor y de birria, like or
Yeah.
barbacoa.
Ooh.
Um, those are my favorite, but carne asada, you can't go wrong with carne asada tacos, especially, the ones you get from the street in Mexico. Those are the ones.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are the ones. It's hard for me to go to some of these Americanized, Mexican, American kind of places, and they give you tacos and a hard shell or, just weird, different kind
Yeah.
of. Not saying it's not good, but it's just not the same.
It's not the
And
same.
it's not even that difficult. It's there. It's very simple. Sal y pimienta, and that's it. Just make the salsa. It's very simple. But I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's la aceite or how they make it, and it's definitely probably the love that they throw in there, which I don't know how it is because I try to cook like my mom. I can't. I don't know what it is. She tells me what I need to put into it and stuff like that, but there's
It doesn't come out the same.
Something special. I don't know what it is. But
Well, let me tell you, Vegas.
You can imitate it, but
Yeah, Vegas just opened up Tacos El Gordo. Have you had that?
Tacos and Gordo? No, I haven't been there yet. That's good to hear. I've been trying to find a good spot out here.
Yeah.
I just found there's only a mariscos place that I went to the other day, which is called these La Islitas ¿cuál es? Islas de Mariscos o algo así.
Something like that.
What it's called, but it's all a bomb because you also know they had los músicos ahí going to table to table. That's what you do.
That's how you know it's good. That's how you know it's a good place. Yeah. No, luckily here in San Diego, we got a bunch of taco places. But one of them is Tacos El Gordo because they come in from TJ. Their families are from TJ, but they actually just opened up one in Vegas a couple years back.
Yeah.
And I went there like right before the pandemic. And goddamn, they're bomb. Like, yeah, they're good. Yeah, they're good.
I'm gonna have to go check it out then. I'm gonna go look Tacos and Gordo.
Yeah.
Like, is that Tacos and Gordo?
Yeah, Tacos El Gordo. Yeah, Tacos El Gordo. It's bomb. It's by the. I think it's by the strip. It's by Circus. But God, you'll fall in love with that place if you love tacos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been. It's really hard for me because like I feel like a lot of the main like good spots that you find is like you have to be there for a couple years to really find those hole in the walls and you really know where they really are,
Yeah.
Because you can't even go like they're the ones where you can't even go off of Yelp. Like that's how you know they're hidden gems. You know what I mean? You can't even go off of that.
100%.
So I feel like I've been kind of giving myself time to really figure these places out. I'm gonna go check out the swap meet.
Yeah.
Like probably like next weekend, and see because that's when there's gonna be some good Mexican food there too.
Hell yeah.
So.
Swami said some nachos though. That's what I like it. It's Swami some nachos. So back to your tacos, right? Do you like salsa verde or salsa roja?
No, I'll go salsa roja.
Salsa roja.
Yeah, I like salsa verde. It just depends on what it is. But like I usually like salsa verde on like seafood.
Okay.
So los camarones and stuff like that. But la salsa roja, like I really on my red meat, like salsa roja.
Okay. Best taco experience that you had, like a place where you like found tacos and you're like, damn, these are fucking bomb.
La Ciudad de Mexico.
Okay.
So I was asking a guest fighter in Mexico City, and they actually put us in like a hotel. It's like in the nicer part of Mexico City, it's like really expensive and all that shit. Well, a couple of people, we got together to go watch the lucha libre.
Nice.
So we had to go in town, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So best experience ever, man. Not only did I get to see some lucha libre, and they had like these giant styrofoam beers with chamoy all over, dripping all over the side.
Yes.
And I was like, yes. And then you go outside and they have the street tacos, dude. Those were the best. So whoever was making the tacos outside of the lucha libre in Mexico City, that is where it's at.
Okay.
Dude, the best tacos for sure, hands down.
I remember going to Mexico. I was able to luckily be able to go down there. The shit that tripped me out though is they don't say carne asada in Mexico City. They call it bistec.
Bistec.
Yeah.
Bistec.
Yeah, but do you know why they call it bistec? I just found this out.
No, I don't know.
It's because Mexicans can't say beef steak, so they say bistec.
Bistec.
You know
it's
how
funny. I feel like when they would go send us to the tienda, my mom would tell us to go buy the carne asada would be arrachera.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well,
You know what I mean?
there's
So
all these different cortes of the meat that I
yeah,
had
there's
no
all this
idea.
yeah, pues todos asados, pues carne asada, whatever, whatever. But when we go to, we always just say carne asada, bistec, or the carnitas,
Yeah,
or
I
the
love it.
cabeza. Actually, that's the one thing I was not really into. Whenever I said la lengua, the cabeza, I could never get myself to really eat that and like
No.
it. I don't know. Did you? You like eating that? Como
It's
taco
funny.
de
Yeah,
cabeza?
I'm a little picky, but my parents lied to me. Like tacos de lengua are actually really, really bomb. But she just didn't
Yeah.
tell me they were lengua. She'd be like, "Oh, it's like
Did you just eat it?
yeah." But I ate it the first time and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. Tacos de cabeza,
Um,
tacos de lenguas are bomb. But you have to have some good ones. Like trust me, if you ever find yourself in TJ with like Brandon Moreno, tell him to take you to Taco Nazo. That place is amazing. It's life changing.
taco lazo?
Yeah, Taco Nazo. It's life changing.
Taco lazo. Nice. Yeah, no, I'll have to check it out.
And then the last question that we ask all of our guests here, right? This is a little bit of a deeper question. It came to me in like some dream or something, and so I like to ask it, right? What is one question you wish more people asked you?
Man,
I told you it was deep.
that's a tough one. You know what I mean? And it's a really hard for me to see that. Like, what kind of question? If anything, you know, I would say that I kind of like whatever people would want them to like ask me before to see if I was okay. It's not really like something I'm looking for anymore in like validation as far as like, well, why don't they ask me this or that or how whatever it
Yeah,
is, and
yeah.
it's kind of like, um, nah, man. I honestly, I just I'm hoping that I can just get to inspire people with my story and stuff like that. And I don't really have a question for them to like really ask me. I kind of want to show them. It's not really many things that I want to say to them.
Got it.
I want to say to people like, because as much as I wish I was like, man, like especially people who don't give me like respect, or they kind of like really didn't see what my story is, or like really even kind of I've had so many naysayers, so many people not believe in me that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really there to convince people of what I can be or should be, or what I think that they should think of me. I want to just show them. And so I don't really have a real question of like, I wish that they show me. If anything, I just want them to like, keep their eye out, and good enough, they'll be able to see and feel everything that I fought through to get there. And I just want to really just be in a good example for people and show them that anything is possible. So if anything, I don't really have anything that I wish they would ask me. If anything,
Just pay
if I
attention.
can do anything to inspire them, or if they want advice or
Yeah.
something, I'm more than open to talk to people and show them what kind of mentality you kind of got to have to get to the top.
I love it. I love it. Well, Cynthia, thank you so much for being on with us. I really, really appreciate it. It was amazing to kind of just talk to you and get to know you. And wish you nothing but the best. Hopefully, we can see you up in the Octagon soon. And best of luck.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure going on. Like honestly, it's really cool when I get to conversate with people that grew up the same way that I did.
Yeah.
So and for me to be able to inspire people like that, like it means the world to me. I usually get really lost in my work that I kind of it still surprises me, and it still gives me motivation when I get to inspire people or other women or the people that grew up like me, and they tell me and that they know so much. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot that I have so much support with a lot of people that grew up in that same way. So thank you so much for inviting me on and showing me a lot of love.
Of course. That's going to be it, everybody. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you guys here next week.